So have you ever been told to just relax? Oh my gosh, it's the worst, right? Especially when you're running late, juggling 100 things, and someone throws that advice at you like it's helpful. Well, here's something a little bit more helpful. Thinking about the idea of relaxation when you're not rushed around. Hopefully right now you're in a place where you can listen and think for a moment about this whole idea of relaxation, even if you're cooking dinner or you're out in the car running errands. It goes with the idea of practicing before you need it. So let's take this time together to consider what relaxation does for us and what it can actually do to help our students in the classroom. Fun fact, August 15th is National Relaxation Day, and it's the perfect excuse to pause, not just for a moment, but to consider how relaxation plays a real strategic role in your classroom too, especially when it comes to student behaviors. I'm really looking forward to talking this through with you. Hey friends, welcome to Enjoy Teaching Again, the podcast for teachers who love the work but need a little spark to bring the joy back. I'm your host, Elizabeth Peterson, classroom teacher, arts integration specialist, and passionate educator of over 25 years. If you're overwhelmed by behaviors, disengaged students, and long, exhausting days, you are not alone. But together, we can turn things around and you can teach with confidence and purpose again. So locate that cold coffee of yours, find your favorite pen, I know you have one, and let's dive in. It's time to get inspired and enjoy teaching again. Now, if you're thinking, Elizabeth, I love to relax, but my classroom is bananas, and I don't have time to figure this all out, well, then the Classroom Reset is for you. It is a group coaching for real teachers with real lives. No extra lessons, no unnecessary stress, no overwhelming to-do list, just simple shifts that help you feel more in control, more supported, and yes, calm and relaxed. You go at your own pace, and you've got 6 months of support from me and a whole crew of teachers on the same journey. So if you're ready to reset your classroom so that you can improve student behaviors and enjoy your teaching, go to theinspiredclassroom.com/reset, RESET, and join me inside. Now, a lot of us may think, if I only had more time in the day, if I could get my kids to do their chores, if I had someone to run these errands for me, if I could just get a maid to clean my house or a cook to come cook my meals for my family. Those last two are some of my wishes and dreams for myself. If I could just get more of my life under control, then I would have time to relax. And this type of thinking can also go into our classrooms. For example, someone might think, if I can just get these kids under control, then I'll be able to relax and actually teach. But let's flip that. Let's flip that thought. If I can learn to relax intentionally, regularly, then my students are more likely to settle too. Because here's the kicker. The people around you absorb your state of being, your energy. And if you're tense, they feel it. If you're rushing, if you're snapping, if you're spiraling out of control, they're matching that energy. And that includes your students. But here's the flip side. When you're grounded, when you're calm, that energy becomes the tone of the room. Many years ago, when my kids were little, mornings were the worst. I was trying to do everything. Pack lunches, make breakfast, check my phone for emails, prep for school, clean the kitchen before we all had to leave, pack bags, get outside in time for the bus. While feeling the weight of the world on my shoulders, I was zooming around the kitchen like a crazy woman. I was flustered and I was super annoyed. And then my husband would just come over and say, "Would you please calm down?" Which, of course, that didn't help at all. Instead, it made me even more annoyed. But then one evening, he came over to me and said something a little different. He pointed out how much stress the kids were absorbing in the mornings, how anxious and overwhelmed they looked because of how I was acting. And that's when it hit me. I could actually stop for a moment and visualize my kids sitting both side by side at the counter as I'm shoving cereal in front of them and looking at their faces. And that's when I realized something really had to change. And so I started to change things. I started to relax and think about how I could make some changes so that my mornings were a bit more calm. I decided to make as much of the lunches that I could the night before. I set the coffee so that all I had to do was press the on button in the morning. We did bedtime routines that involved packing our school bags, and my mornings felt better because I was more relaxed. I also woke up a little earlier so that I had some time to myself to just relax a little bit before I had to get everyone else up. I was more calm, and the difference that I saw in my kids was actually amazing. I hate to admit it, but my husband was right. Okay, don't tell him. I don't know that he's listening to my podcast, so please don't tell him. He was actually right. Now, our mornings weren't always perfect, but they did become so much better. And I see the same thing play out in the classroom. Every time that I choose calm, it creates space for my students to settle as well. Because here's the truth. My calm is contagious. And your calm is also contagious. But how do we get there? Because you can't just say, I'm going to be calm today, and then it just happens, right? So I want to talk briefly about some ways that you can intentionally build relaxation into your school day. Now, this is going to take a little bit of planning on your part. Remember, you practice these things before you need them. And that's what we're going to be doing right now. I want you to take this opportunity to really think about what tactical idea will work for you. So as I'm going through some of these ideas, I want you to really visualize this happening. And of course, if you're driving, please be careful. But if you're in a safe place right now, maybe you could even close your eyes or stare off into space for a moment and really take some time to visualize what some of these ideas might look like for you. So regardless of where you are or what you're doing right now, just take a moment, take a nice deep breath with me, okay? And let's consider some of these ideas. And these first ones are for you at school, okay? So before the students even come in, I want you to think about how, this is going to sound so rudimentary, but how taking 3 grounding breaths for yourself before your students come in can help you. For me, I'm picturing myself, finishing up that last email, finishing up this last bit, pulling something up on the screen, whatever it might be. And when I stand up from my desk and walk from my desk to the entrance of my classroom, getting ready to greet my students, I'm going to take some really deep breaths as I'm making my steps towards the entrance. And if that means you delay the students at the door, make them wait. It is okay. Take those 3 grounding breaths and then be ready to greet your students at the door. There are other small things you can do to help you just kind of get that relaxation brain going inside your classroom. Maybe you use music. Soundtracking is one of the best things you can do to create an atmosphere inside your classroom of calm and focus. And I'll put a link in the show notes to my episode that talks specifically about soundtracking and using it to create calm in your classroom. I hear more and more teachers are using aromatherapy even, or just spraying some nice scents inside of their classroom. So consider that too, right? The entire atmosphere of your classroom can be created to have that sense of calm. In my classroom, I often will shut off some of the lights or have alternative lighting. I know a lot of teachers will do that too. They'll bring in their own lamps if that's allowed in your school and actually create different lighting in their classroom to create that sense of calm. And maybe there's a nice calming routine that you want to do for yourself, either as you're transitioning yourself into your classroom in the morning before all the kids come, or as you're sitting in your classroom getting ready for the day. So maybe you have a little routine like just sitting with some quiet lighting and drinking your coffee. I know that sounds ridiculous, right? I know you're probably thinking, in the morning I'm scrambling to get everything all set. But think about it. Maybe you do that for yourself once a week. Maybe you enjoy a moment inside the wonderful, calm, atmospheric classroom that you've created to get yourself into a nice, relaxed state so that you can be a super effective teacher. Inside the classroom reset, we actually talk so much about routines and the routines that are going to actually help you and your students to create and enter a calm classroom. So I want you to think about, what does that look like for you? What are things you can do inside your classroom to really promote the sense of calm? Now, during the school day, sometimes we need a little moment, a moment, if you will. If you have the opportunity during the school day, maybe it's during your prep, maybe it's during lunchtime or at recess, if you can just step outside for a moment, that can be such a nice calming reset for yourself and for your brain. Now, some of these ideas may seem outlandish for you at first, but see if there's a time, a week, a day, a month that you might actually try something like eating your lunch outside or sipping your coffee while you're standing in the sun, even if by then your coffee is cold. Like what happens to me almost every day. Or if you have recess duty, taking a few really good deep breaths during recess duty and taking that nice, clean, hopefully clean, fresh air into your lungs. I also want you to think about maybe if you have recess duty to actually go for a quick walk around the playground. Maybe with someone, maybe even with a student. I've done that a couple of times. Or maybe just by yourself. There have been times when I will be standing outside at recess duty, and then I even excuse myself from a little conversation, and I just go for a little walk around the playground and then come right back to where I started. Stretching my legs, taking deep breaths, looking around, making eye contact with some of the kids. It's such a nice thing that I do for myself when I think I need it. And I want to encourage you to think about what kind of things like that you might be able to do for yourself right in the middle of your school day. Now, after school, I really love this idea of creating a boundary, almost like a ritual that signals the school day is done and you can now move on. For me, I'll do something like ceremoniously close my computer and give it a little couple-inch shove so I know that I am done with that for the day. Maybe you use your commute home, whether you're driving or you're even walking home, to finish and literally leave school at school. And as you're going home, take some deep breaths as you're leaving the parking lot and remind yourself that you indeed have done a good job, and now it's time for the next part of your day. Taking these little moments of intentional relaxation for yourself can really help you, not just doing something like this at the beginning of your day before you even kind of like get into the routine of what you're doing, but doing it at little increments of time during your day can really help to make that sense of relaxation and calm last all day long. Now let's talk about your students, because your students need these types of moments too. And during the school day, it is actually up to you, the teacher, to make that available for your students. Now, if you're inside the classroom reset, you already have access to all of my peaceful pauses cards. These are cards that have different ways to take a moment at any moment in your school day and do something that will just bring some peace to you and to your classroom, and of course your students as well. And there are 25 cards in the deck, and here is what's on card numbers 2 and 3. I want to share those with you. So peaceful pause number 2 is sit quietly and listen for 3 different sounds around you. Actually, you know what? Let's do that right now. Sit quietly just for a moment. I'm going to actually do this here, so there's going to be some silence in the podcast. And listen for 3 different sounds around you. Here we go. All right, what did you hear? Now, hopefully my microphone didn't pick up too much of the background noise, but I heard some cars off in the distance, and I heard the very soft walking of my cat on the rug as he came into the room. Oh, and my third sound, I heard the slight murmur of the air conditioner downstairs. All right, here's peaceful pause number 3. This is a tried and true one. Counting slowly from 10 to 1, feeling more relaxed with each number. All right, so let's try that. And this is a good thing. Again, this is all about practice before you need it, okay? When you ask someone to just count backwards from 10 to 1 so that you can relax, it's too much. The brain is overloaded. They just don't have the capacity to do that. But if it's something that they have practiced a few times, then they can really understand that something in their brain will, kind of get that from the back of their brain and understand that, okay, this is something I've tried. It has worked for me. I'm going to try it now. So let's do that right now, counting slowly from 10 to 1. And I want you to just try and feel even more relaxed with each number. Now, if you're already relaxed, just go with it, okay? Maybe you even visualize yourself really, really stressed and then count yourself back, okay? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to figure I'm really, really stressed at 10, and I'm going to go back to 1. Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And if you do this type of peaceful pause with your students and you're modeling what this can look like for them, do it like that. Pretend you're all stressed out and start counting 10, 9, 8, and slowly get slower and more calm and relaxed with each number. Doing something like a peaceful pause inside your classroom and even repeating the same one many times throughout your school year can really, really be such a benefit for your students. And of course, as I always say, for yourself as well. All right, and then one final idea I want to make sure I mention is creating a reset corner or a calming corner in your classroom where students can self-regulate with some tools that you have put together. This can be such a beneficial thing that you have inside your classroom if you're introducing it correctly and if you're following through with it and you're showing your students how to use it in a way that's actually going to help them. When I do a break box, I have a break box that I use in my classroom, and I'll put a link to that in the show notes as well. But when I introduce the break box in my classroom, I really show the students how to use it in a way that by, a couple months into the school year, all the students can use it on their own, and they actually use it to self-regulate. And it is actually quite amazing when it does work. Of course, there's always flukes, and of course, it doesn't squash all the major behaviors in the classroom, but the behaviors that come and kind of just like nitpick at your day, this calming corner idea, this break box can so very much help with some of those not too extreme behaviors. And like I said, I have a break box that I'll share with you. I'll share the link inside the show notes. And I also have a podcast episode that talks a little bit more about calming corners and how to do them effectively inside your classroom. I'll link that in the show notes as well. Listen, my friend, I know you're carrying a lot. You're juggling so many responsibilities. You're handling so many student needs, behavior challenges, and probably a family of your own, but you're not a robot. You're not a superhero. You are human. And that means you deserve to rest, not as a reward, but as a requirement. And it's not just for you. It's not something selfish. It's something that you do for yourself so that you can be the best you for others around you, for your family, for your friends, for your colleagues, and for your students as well. And I want to encourage you to use National Relaxation Day as your invitation to do something that will help you to really think about the importance of relaxation in your life. Go step outside. Take a nice deep breath. Drink that fancy coffee that you resist on a day-to-day basis. Give yourself permission to just pause. Maybe you even veg out on the couch and binge your favorite shows for a couple of hours. But whatever you decide to do to relax, I want you to do it with intention. Give yourself the permission to just relax without any guilt, without any strings attached. Being intentional with your relaxation is not selfish. It's not a weakness. It's actually leadership. Yeah, think about that for a moment. Getting yourself in a calm, controlled state actually shows strength and leadership. And this can be part of your everyday life if you choose for it to be. So as I leave you for this episode, I hope you truly consider how relaxation can improve your teaching and actually improve student behaviors. Remember, your energy is contagious, and you have the ability to create that sense of calm in your classroom. I hope this episode inspired you, encouraged you, or gave you a fresh idea to try. And if so, I would love for you to take a screenshot and text it to one of your teaching buddies. I'm so grateful that you landed here with me today, and it would mean the world to me if you would leave me a review over on Apple Podcast. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll catch you on the next episode. This is Elizabeth Peterson reminding you to get inspired so you can be inspiring to your students and enjoy teaching again.